It's my pleasure now to introduce Dave Clarke, Chief Innovation Officer of Squirro. He's going to be talking about from pilot to production, enterprise autonomization. That's a hard one. Dave is a longtime supporter and speaker here at KMWorld. Many of you will recognize him. He is the Chief Innovation Officer, as I said, at Squirro, which recently joined with Synaptica, which Dave founded in 2009. He leads tons of research and development, software solutions for taxonomy, ontology management, text analytics, auto-categorization, image annotation and indexing, and linked data management. He has contributed to numerous national and international standards for knowledge and information science, including the 2025 edition of ISO 25964.1. That's a mouthful. Please welcome Dave as he discusses how GenAI and intelligent agents are fundamentally transforming the landscape of enterprise operations. Dave?
Thank you. Thank you very much, and good morning to KMWorld. I think this is either my 20th or 21st KMWorld, so it's good to be back. I am going to talk about pilots to production, and very much in the context of knowledge management, taxonomy, ontology, which is kind of my home base. The main keynote from Martin Kahn was fabulous, and I could not have had a better keynote to follow, because many of Martin's points, I think, are going to be things that I'm going to talk to too: scalability, privacy, etc. So a little introduction, very brief on Squirro and Synaptica. So Squirro has a genesis in enterprise search, and was an early adopter of GenAI, rolling out a very successful a very successful RAG platform on top of its enterprise search. It then started building agents, and it then started working with my company, Synaptica, which it acquired last year. And we did that to bring together the merging of probabilistic and deterministic technology. So essentially, the GenAI is a highly probabilistic world. And my world, which was Synaptica's world, was creating human-curated representations of knowledge, a very deterministic representation. And pull those things together, and you get a really powerful combination. Last year, I gave a talk about that focused on graph RAG. And in one of those implementations, we for a global telecommunications company, added graph to RAG. We 10x'd the speed at which they resolve tech support tickets, improve the quality. This was one of these validations that if you bring the deterministic and the probabilistic together, it produces a very, very positive result. So this is only 15 minutes, and my 3 parts are going to go very rapidly. Part 1, pivoting pilots to production. This is where I say, thank you again, Martin, because what you said is very much our experience here. We, in the world of 2024, saw lots of companies, all of our clients, doing lots of different POCs and pilots. In 2025, a little bit of honeymoon over, because those pilots were then like, and how do I scale this? How do I take this forward? So it's easy to produce something that works when it's small. It's much harder to do that when you need to go enterprise production. So we sort of are saying in this year, as we come to the close of this year, next year is the time to scale. To give you one illustration, this is very real and recent. This is last month. This was an intensive workshop that Squirro did in Asia, and the client, which is a big company, said, We've done our own internal POCs and pilots. We built 7 RAG solutions for 4,000 users, and we can't scale it now. And also, they never produced anything above 80% inaccuracy. So this is the validation of the story of lots of POCs, but where do you go from there? And where you go from there, for us, is start really on solid foundations rather than kind of skunk work pilots and POCs. Start on something that is built to scale. So Squirro is a platform. Squirro is a platform of tooling for enterprise search, for agentic AI frameworks, and for deeply integrated knowledge graph, which was the Synaptica piece. So if you have a platform, that platform is connected to the rest of your organization. So we call that orchestration. It's the orchestration of content, the orchestration of machine-represented knowledge, knowledge graphs, and AI agents, all kind of working together. I swear I didn't know, Martin, your talk, but precision, security, and privacy at scale. Really, this is what it takes to go from pilot to production. And Squirro, one of its strengths is that it works in the most heavily regulated industries, many of them financial, but not exclusively financial. Talking about supranational banking and financial institutes, where the privacy and security are tremendously important. They operate with terabytes just of index data, and where this can be compartmentalized down to literally thousands of permission groups. So on that basis, on that platform, the ability to then introduce pilots for AI and scale them up is on a solid footing. Part 2, machine-readable knowledge, and this is my favorite subject to talk about, is if I try to distill into one short sentence what I do, what I've always done, it's this. We transform human knowledge into machine-readable knowledge. Now, we were doing that before AI, or we were doing that before this wave of AI, because obviously AI seems to surface and go through iterations every long few years. But in this wave, machine-readable knowledge has never been more valuable because it is the thing to inform AI agents and help them automate their processes with precision. I have to have this slide because when I talk about knowledge, I really want to make sure it's in the context that it's not information and it's not data. It is different than data and information. So we all know what data looks like, even if we may not define it. It's the granular stuff that lives in tables, feeds, maybe individual files. When we compile that into a format that a human being can understand and read, we tend to call that information. Right? Data is not naturally human digestible, but information is meant to be human digestible. It's documents, it's reports. It might be a live query that pulls things together for human digest. Now, knowledge is different than all of those things. It's kind of meta and above those things, and it describes them. And the way it describes them, or this is the way that my world has worked, and a lot of people at KMWorld work, is we do this semantically. So we represent machine-readable knowledge in RDF, Resource Description Framework, and we do this through a schema and named things. Collectively, we might call that the ontology. And then we have normally a deeper level of a knowledge graph. This can be data graphs. This can be what you call the semantic layer. It can be the annotations that we link between bits of content and concepts in the ontology. Now, hitherto, we have done all of this in RDF. Very slight adjustment to what we're going to do next year is we're kind of just putting a little separation between those layers of the pyramid, and we're saying We're still going to do ontology in RDF because it's, in our opinion, the best machine reasoning method to represent knowledge. But that big bit of the knowledge graph at the bottom doesn't actually have to be in RDF. There are clients who are kind of asking us to support other formats like label property graph and so forth. So we're going to separate those two layers. We're still going to do machine reasoning and the ontology up in RDF, but we're going to do the rest in either the choice of RDF or LPG. And put all that together, we've got the data and the content at the bottom. We've got the semantic layer, which is the ontology and the annotations. We've got agents sitting on top of that and humans kind of at the top of the pile where they still belong to get insights out of all of that stuff. So our agentic vision is very, very clearly the intersection of generative AI and structured knowledge. And knowledge graphs were typically used for precision information retrieval. What we're now using them for is precision workflow automation. Same technology, but a slightly different use. Last year, we did, and I talked about this last year here, we did very simple representations of workflow in graph to automate things like tech support ticketing. And there was the example where we've 10x the productivity for a major corporation with simple graphs. We then said, okay, we need much more complex, multi-step processes. We need the ability to model a lot of different variables. And we developed a graph ontology, so an archetype for handling that up in the upper ontology. And then we have a couple of examples. So things that we're doing with that this year. We have built AI agents using an ontology to describe workflow processes to design AI agents to build taxonomies for us. And I would never have said this. I would never have said this even a year ago because I didn't think we could get there, and we can get there. And the results are amazing. It is a brave new world. What we have here is we brought all of this into the taxonomy ontology management system. We said, define the workflow for an agent as a graph, because it is a set of connections, a network of connections. So let's put it into the graph. So we built a workflow for being a taxonomist in graph, all the different stages. There's a talk later this morning where we'll go into this in great detail, so this is super condensed. But we built that as a graph, and then in plain English you'll see, well, believe me, the fine print words on the right are just natural language instructions to tell the agent, you're at this stage of building a taxonomy, how do you go from here? And the agent picks that up. We have a natural language no-code interface on top of that. And this is a taxonomy that was built in minutes by telling it, I want to build a 3-tier clothing taxonomy. I kind of like Amazon as a model of how you describe products. I want it in English and Spanish, have some definitions. Just in the words like that, it will run through the process. It will work with you as the human in the loop and ask you if you like and approve what's happening, and then it will refine it. We also built AI agents for the integrated iterative classification and information extraction. So the classifier shouldn't just be annotating. The classifier should be looking at the content, interpreting the content, and passing things back into the ontology or the taxonomy. Basically, it should be augmenting as it classifies. And that process is what we call CIES, Classification and Information Extraction as a system. It's designed to be a virtuous circle and to work together. So I'm in my last minute, so I'm going to go super fast. We taught this AI that you need to generate, you need to validate, you need to annotate, and these are all kind of interrelated. And we built the different components. And the nice thing about this is this isn't like us saying how you do it. It's giving a simple tool. You can go into the graph and say, actually, my company does it slightly differently here. We have stakeholders in this stage of a workflow, governance. That's a node in the graph. You tell it what that instruction is, and no code, it's operating from that point onwards. This is really, really dynamic stuff. So this is generating novel extractions. It's generating whatever you ask it to. Go and find property values. Find out the chain of ownership between companies. It's anything you task it to do, and it generates the results with human in the loop. So my takeaways: pivoting from pilot to production ultimately needs enterprise-grade security, privacy, and scalability. If you do a quick POC because it's quick, you will pay that price later. And this is just what you said, Martin. So it's like, really, it's like if you want to do things well, start with something that is going to be scalable. Functionality is not enough. Knowledge graphs are not only the enablers for the semantic layer, they're also the ideal mechanism for having transparent control over the agentic workflow. And that's why we've pulled together my company with Squirro, and why we've built all these integrated tools to do that. And AI agents can generate, validate, and augment taxonomies and annotations as knowledge graphs. We'll have some other talks at KMWorld where I can go into that in any more detail, but thank you very much.